So this is Theo Young, and he is one of my friends and a pretty interesting guy. He's come up with some commonly used phrases such as
Where the fuck did you come from?
and.
I would have to say, Batman, I thought you would last longer. Hey, yo.
So let me provide you with a little bit of context. So after secondary school, I took a games animation and VFX course, and I was 16 and 17 across these 2 years. So that'll give you a wee idea on my level of maturity at the time. So first year was split up into 5 different classes, and the first one we got an assignment for was core principles of game design. Our assignment was to make a concept of a game based on 2 briefs, and the one we chose was like a mobile horror game called Plague Night. That's about all you really need to know. Now, since this was my first assignment for college, I didn't want to be too bold with the whole Teo thing, and Teo wouldn't let me change the name of the main character, so I had to settle, and I made an NPC called Teo. There's also one NPC, one specific one called Teo. He is a monster that can. He is a person who's went there to seek refuge like everyone else, but was experiment done and did have his corruption like everyone else who did go there. However, unlike the rest, he does still have his sanity. So he still all has his personality from when he was fully human and all that. So he helps you by you can complete quests for him and you can get rewards from them quests. One of which is an eye that he can link with you and gives you a temporary third-person view. Now, this isn't the most exciting thing ever, but it was a start. Now, the main thing I wanted to talk about for this assignment was, this was supposed to be 10 to 15 minutes long, this presentation. Do you want to know how long ours was? 46 minutes. Just for reference, I had to go back to tech about a month or so ago to go get some old work, and the day I went, the new first years just so happened to be doing their CPGD one. And so I decided to stay and chat to one of my lecturer and all, and I pointed out to him at the end that all 3 of their groups combined was less than our group. Anyways, moving on, we had CPGD 2, and this was an essay where we were supposed to take a console of our choice and a game of our choice that has been through 5 generations of development and explain their journey throughout it. Now, I chose Plants vs. Zombies and Xbox. You may wonder, how did I integrate Teo into this? But these are the days before we had to do any stupid Harvard reference and stuff, so I could write whatever random rubbish I wanted to as long as it sounded semi-realistic. I didn't have to back it up or anything. Well, this is what I wrote anyway. Mind you, I didn't know Teo in 2016. I only met him in 2021. I know, once again, this isn't that interesting, but we're getting better. We're getting there. Now, our first assignment for animation, we had to make a stop motion animation completely of our choice. And the original choice I had was I was going to do Jinxie reacting to Garnacho's bicycle kick. I don't ask me why I chose that random thing of all things, but I realized I had bit off way more than I could chew, so I had to scrap it, and instead I found this video and made my own adaptation. What is the shape tween, you may ask? It is a tool within Adobe Animate, and me and Thomas thought it was the most hilarious thing ever, so we decided to turn it into an inside joke that we would laugh at for the rest of the year. Yeah, I know, very mature. But anyways, I decided to stick Teo in the end credits because, I mean, I don't really know what else you want me to do in this one. Next, we had our first piece of work for art, and for this one, we had to create our own character. I don't know if it was, I think there was a brief attached to it, and it had to be some like magical, mythical, woodland character thing. So, what's more magical, mythical, and woodland than a jacked mongoose named Teo that's an archer? Yes, this took me way, way longer than it should have. And it still turned out ass. And I definitely didn't give it a cape just so I didn't have to spend another 10 hours doing the back of it. Around this time, I also started developing a pretty interesting rapport with one of my lecturers, and for privacy's sake, we will call him Barnabas. Through this interesting rapport, I think I also mentioned the whole Teo ploy I had at this point. And why would I mention it after 2? Well, it's because we were doing other things, such as Mox News. This was the first big one with Teo in it. It was our first assignment for VFX, and we had to make a news report. Could be real, could be a joke, whatever. Complete freedom. Which was a mistake on Barnabas's half, because we had to censor out a lot of things in the script right before filming. And just so you know, I definitely didn't include heroin, Andrew Tate, who is currently getting done in for sex trafficking, and the SS. Yes, that SS. No, I didn't include them. No, that wouldn't be me. So here's the clip that includes Teo. A man over in China named Yeo Tong has been repeatedly eating rabbit droppings over the last month and has contracted a new disease now named Teo Young, which has been ravaging all over China and which soon might be causing another lockdown because of it. And here's another clip that I thought was funny. But at 6 p.m. yesterday, Iceland, no, not that one, this one, has been invaded by Lidl. So far, General Little Bo Peep has been leading the supermarket superpowers pursuit in capturing the first piece of Iceland ground. See, I had the absolute time of my life making this script because I was just at work having the time of my life, just rattling these off and all that stupid stuff. So the full video is still there if you want to go see it, and the links in the description, and the profile picture for the channel is even Teo as well. So that's a cherry on top. Now after December for VFX, we were giving a brief, and in this brief we were supposed to make a superhero application like video, sort of how Starlight did in The Boys. And we were supposed to showcase our VFX skills in the form of powers. Guess what my idea was? Super Teo. Now we had to make a mood board and all the usual stuff for this, and Barnabas ended up seeing this mood board. Uh, Quite an interesting collection of things, and I could see in the look on his face he thought so too. But he decided to keep quiet in this one because he started to realize, how I sort of get on. Yeah, that's just one way of putting it. But yeah, to break it down, I mainly just nabbed this guy's ideas and put in my own inside jokes and my own spin in it and all, because I'm not original enough to actually come up with my own stuff. But here's some of my ideas if you want to read through them. One day in A Boy Gets Bitten by a man named Teo. Now this Teo was not just some ordinary Teo, no, this Teo was radioactive, which then resulted in this boy not being a normal boy anymore, but instead becoming Super Teo. And in this video we will get a personal interview with what some would consider a freak to humanity, not because he has strange powers, but because he's associated with Teo. If this video gets 25 likes, I will make Super Teo a reality. Anyways, all was good, and I started making my way through the whole document and all the stuff we had to do for like pre-production for it. And then one faithful day, I was just walking to class, and Barnabas stops me on the stairs and says to me to go tell the whole class not to do any more work for him. Now, obviously, the whole class was ecstatic, except me, who had already flipping done the whole thing. And yeah, surprise, surprise, he gave us the wrong flipping brief, which he told us in the next class we were in with him. And yeah, I wasn't too happy. So now I have this whole thing done, and I'm never going to do anything with it. So that was a great way to spend my time. Then we were given our proper brief, which was we were allowed to make a movie trailer. Could be a remake of an existing one or an original one we've created. Whatever, once again, could complete freedom. But this time nothing was really jumping out at me. But eventually I did get an idea, obviously involving Teo, but see, around this time there was bus strikes, and being 16 I couldn't drive, so I was sort of at home trying to convince them to do my idea when no one would open my messages, and they just asked to pick a movie for them instead, and he chose 1984. To be fair, I'm sort of happy we didn't do my idea because my idea wasn't great looking back on it now, but I mean 1984, like, come on. So yeah, that is what we did. We did 1984, but see, the genius in picking 1984 was the fact that all four of us in our group never watched them. And see, I was in charge of the shot plan. And with the combination of my lack of knowledge of the film and the poor mic quality from 1984, we have interesting paraphrasing such as this.
We can't get inside you. We can't get inside your heart.
Yeah, so anyways, we included Teo in a range of different shots, or well, references to Teo. Here they are. And if you're wondering the significance of December 10th, well, if you're watching this the day it comes out, this is your reminder to say happy birthday to Teo. Either in the comments or to him personally, depending whether you know him or not. Yeah, because I know he's going to watch it. He's definitely going to watch this video. I hope. He better. Come on. It's like a final tribute sort of thing. Next, we had our second assignment for 3D modeling. What happened to the first one? This is it. We were given a brief where we had to make some elf thing for Christmas, and it was awful. It's so awful. We had no freedom in it or anything. So I mean, there's no way I can involve Teo anyway. Before this assignment, we were tasked with making a 3D environment of our choice, and I decided to do the spawn room of 5 from Black Ops 1 Zombies. Okay, I'm going to show you all my renders for this model, and I want to see if you can spot where I included Teo in this, because I actually think I not only did a good job making it, but including Teo into it. Did you spot him? Well, if you didn't, here he is. I haven't said it already, I'm really happy with how I did this. The only person who actually knew about it upon looking at it was Barnabas. But that's because he was the one who gave me the idea for it to begin with. But yeah, none of my other lecturers noticed, and I think only like one of my friends noticed it there, and that's because he seen that same picture of Teo somewhere else. So now for our final task for animation, we could make an animation of whatever style we wanted to, but the context and content of the animation was attached to a brief. We had 3 choices, and I chose to do a day in the life video because the other 2 were really dull. Now, see, I had loads of assignments at this stage, so I had to choose a cop out. I decided to do this in stop motion because I figured out a way to sort of cheat the system, and I used the shutter mode on my camera on my phone to repeatedly take pictures over and over again without actually having to sit there and take them manually, because it would save me so much time. Yeah, I didn't really care about animation. I hate animation. Now, what was my idea for this, you may ask? Day in the life of Teo. Now, in theory, that does sound like the obvious choice. However, when reality sets in, this was 2024, and at this stage, I've only actually met Teo 2 times in person, which is, I don't worry, I talk to him on the PlayStation more than I see him in person. Like, I'm not just making this about some random person I've only met twice in my life. So yeah, that wasn't gonna work, and I had to come up with a backup, and my backup to that was every day is a Tom day. Tom was my sub. Thank God for him. Now, I still had to include Teo in some way, shape, or form to this, but there wasn't really any way I could do that. So I decided to just write "in loving memory of Teo" on the intro picture. And see, this was the only time my inclusion of Teo actually got me into any sort of trouble, because I got marked down. Even my lecturer must have thought like, oh, come on, you could be a bit more original. I don't know if she saw the whole Teo inclusion before, but yeah, this one definitely is like, oh. So I got to pass this one. All my other things I got like a distinction or whatever, and so yeah, see, adding Teo didn't affect anything as long as I did it well. That is. Anyways, we had CPG 3 and CPG 4 next. Why am I mentioning them together? Well, that's because I forgot to add Teo into them. But the reason I am bringing these up is because when I was going back and looking at all my work to see if I included Teo in it or not, I stumbled across something. So back in April and May, there was like a sort of trend or whatever going around TikTok where people were comparing Clash Royale to chess. I'd been saying this since fifth year 2022, so I was fuming I didn't make the video before. Why didn't I? But the main one was because I didn't start posting TikToks, and I didn't start posting until like about a month later. So yeah, I couldn't do it now because then I just look like the copycat who doesn't have any original ideas, which, I mean, you wouldn't really be wrong. However, I have proof. In this screenshot here, you can see that I made the comparison back in May 2024, a year before any video got been released. Yeah, give me my breakout video backlog. Now, across both these years, we also had random weeks of work experience dotted around, and here's one from first year because I thought it was funny enough to show. Mr. Maker and his ships have recently been in a bit of fall off in views and revenue, so to avoid bankruptcy, they have begun tax evading, but the IRS, the Numberjacks, are onto them, so they have a plan to steal the diamond minecart. This was like a storyboard thing, so we also had some pretty interesting storyboard art, which I made, obviously. And we also had one in second year. We are students from Teesside University, which after a long time developing this university and expanding it across the world, we are now our own international government known as Teesside United, and are now an advanced race of superhumans with intergalactic engineering skills. However, an alien race known as the Rue have commissioned us to create a football stadium and accommodation to host the Universe Cup, where football teams across the universe will face us at our home pitch. If we do not succeed in creating this, the Rue will pull us from the cup and replace us with our biggest rivals, Big Creative. Big Creative was a college, or I think it's a college or something, I'm not too sure. And here's my amazing stadium I modelled for it. Now you may wonder why both of which are called Teesside. Well, once again, that's because Teesside University came in to try and enlist us for Teesside University, and I mean that didn't work. But me and Thomas thought it was the most hilarious thing in the world, and decided to make a whole inside joke about it for the whole year. So yeah, we did this way more than I'm actually mentioning in the video. So like, flipping heck. Now, second year was structured completely differently, and this is how it worked. So the first half of the year we would be learning about everything related to our case study exam, which was in March, and this information would also benefit us in creating our game from December onwards. Now, there's not too much to mention from before December, except this, which was one of my first pieces of work in second year. And no, it's not Theo. It's a guy in my class wearing a hashtag United top, Dealer boots, and jeans with a farmer tan. Now, we are going to call him Mr. Aura, and yeah, that's because all he really did was Aura farm. And before you ask, yes, it's relevant. So I should probably explain my game to you. So we were given a brief, and it was asked we had to make a game showcasing the refugee experience, and I don't know why they thought we would be good candidates for doing that. I'm probably the closest thing the class had to a refugee, and I had less of a clue than anyone else. But regardless, we had no choice, and I was stumped. And then it came to me. Escape from Teesside. And who was the main character? Obviously Theo. But don't worry, there was more references to Theo other than him just being the main character. But before that, we also had to make drawings of our assets back in the pre-production stage of our game. For a separate class, and obviously Theo being the main character, someone had to do a drawing of him. Since we were in groups of 3, and you've already seen my last drawing involving Theo, I decided to award Grace, who is one of the members in our group, with the task of drawing Theo. This is the picture of Theo I gave her, and this is the picture she drew. Quite good. And to make sure you properly understand this game, here's pages you can find throughout the game, which is just like lore and all. Not that important, you don't have to read, but here they are. And here's an animatic that gives you a bit of a rundown of the level and story a wee bit. Now, I can't really remember what music was copyright in this or what, so you can listen to some Mongolian throat singing instead. Copyright free, obviously. you understand the game, it's complaining time. Now remember how I said we were in groups of 3? So there was me, Grace, and the third member, Mr. Aura. Now, this man had done my head into oblivion. Initially, I was thinking our group was going to do really well, and well, I was sorely mistaken. And those notes, they sound awfully robotic, don't they? I had no involvement in making them. You've one guess as to who made them. Now, obviously, I had to touch it up a bit because I don't know what flipping prompts he was putting in, but it didn't make any flipping sense and didn't have anything to do with our actual story that I made. And he kept on flipping changing it, so screw him. Anyways, we started development, and that's when things really started going south. Um, thing is, none of us knew how to properly program. We gave Grace the job because she thought, and we thought, she knew how to program better than all of us, but apparently she had just as much knowledge as me. And that became apparent in our first week, where she was really struggling to the point where she wanted to change and do something else. So Mr. Aura was next up, obviously. Yeah, he was going to do it. Like, if anyone was going to do it, he was going to do it. Obviously not, no, I had to do it. Because he failed miserably and ended up with a Unity file with 999 errors, which I just deleted and started over from scratch. See, now if that was the only issue, life would have been amazing at this point, but obviously it wasn't. So let's speed run it through a few of them. Mr. Aura had 2 weeks to do a certain piece of work that I was actually waiting for because I needed to implement it into the game and do some other stuff with it. However, it took him 7 weeks, and I even had to source outside help to get it done too. There was also a stage where both other members of the group, Grace and Mr. Aura, also wouldn't come in, so I was just sat picking my ass and spinning mindlessly on a chair every morning. We were supposed to do our morning meetings. Moving on. Anyways, we eventually got the game done, and it was no help to Mr. Aura. Grace eventually did start coming in and doing our work more towards the second half of our allotted work time to get the game done. So, so I did have some help, and here's a walkthrough. But quickly before that, we did have a completely functioning game on the initial submission. Then it came to post production, and I was completely burnt out at this stage. I was done. I couldn't be bothered anymore. I just want to enjoy life for a bit. And Mr. Aura decided to step up and do a pile of stuff. Now, remember how I said we had no prior knowledge to Unity or anything? Well, knowledge doesn't come out of thin air, and he hadn't done any work, so I don't know where the flip he got this knowledge from. Which was quite apparent when he sent the game back to me, because it came back with loads and loads of errors, which I had to fix once again. Why did I let him do it? Well, it's because when you're tired, you do stupid things. Well, anyways, you spawn in with one page, which you can open, and while it's open, you can flip to the back. There's a health bar that doesn't do anything because you just get one tap when you get caught. You can crouch, you can prone, you can sprint, you can jump, and this T-side guard, his area, his range is only really his torch. If you go behind that, as long as you're not in the torch, you can't get caught. If you do it the normal way, you're supposed to hide behind that crate, but obviously, I'm a pro at this game. Then you grab that key and you track back to this door here. Get out your inventory, open the door, collect this page which you need for the next section. There's some art I also did, which was class. I tried to make it look like a bit of a totalitarian state, sort of like in 1984 kind of esque, but obviously my Photoshop skills aren't great. So you take your second page and you flip it to the back, match the symbols on the note to the whiteboard and then to the keypad. So it's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 0 at the bottom, like a keypad. In this area, you have to find post-it notes with the pieces of the code on it. And if you go back to the first page that you got right at the start of the game, you also have the first part of the number on the back of that. Then you make your way into this warden's office sort of thing, and you pick up this page which is strictly lore related, and you find the last third of the code. Then you enter it in here, and you make it to the next room, where you have another page. This one's lore related, but also gives you a wee hint if you need it. And you have a UV light, which is also called a focus, which you can use on this blackboard and get your last code for the game. And Escape from Teesside or Meet L, whatever one you want to consider it as. Now, let's go and do a bit of a deep dive into this level, because the naked eye a lot can be missed. The first thing is obviously the notes, which Britton mentioned to you. You can't really read it because someone forgot to flip and rescale it. It wasn't me because I didn't do UI. I just made the pages work. I didn't make them flipping look good. Anyways, you go to the prison part of the level and you have to combine the code. Now, what's the code read when you put it together? 10-12-06. And this serves as a second reminder that if you're watching this video on the day it releases and you haven't wished Theo a happy birthday yet, do it. What else could you be doing right now? Then we come to this room, and when you turn on your UV light, a number on the wall comes up. What's this number? Well, it's nothing more than Theo's student ID number. And lastly, you also have the room numbers that are dotted around the room as like at every door entrance. And these have some relevance as well to Theo. Now, the last one you're supposed to enter, and the one that's mentioned in the pages, is 40P1NG, or 40 ping. Now, this goes back to one day when me and all my friends were playing Siege. Theo was complaining that he was playing on 40 ping, which everyone's in 40 ping. So I decided to call him 40 ping bandit from then on. Why didn't I call the actual smuggler the 40 ping bandit as opposed to L? I don't know. It's a missed opportunity, like many others that's been here. But yeah, that's it. That's how I included Theo in 2 years of my college work. I'm at uni now. I'm too mature to be doing that kind of stuff. So now, am I currently making a game where Theo is two of the enemies? I guess you're gonna have to come back in 3 or 4 years to figure it out. So I'll see you then, and Roger out.